It's not my job. I'm going to be speaking about these words in today's video, but not in the context you're probably thinking about. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back. My name is Dom, and I help people to step into their truth and power. It's not my job. On some level, I am sure you have felt this way before, and at the very least, you've heard this statement before. But today, I'm going to be speaking to you about this in a different type of context. In today's video, the context I'm speaking of is in letting go of the need to control things. And so when you're in the energy of trying to control things or to make things happen a certain way, and you think that this is your job to do, it's your job to try and control things and make things happen. Well, I've got news for you. This is not your job, and it's not my job either, okay? It's not your job to control how things happen. Your job is to understand what you want and what you're going to let go so that you can bridge the reality in being that version of you that you want to become. So this isn't about pushing or making things happen, but much more about understanding how to allow things to happen and trusting God or the universe to control it for you. Now, I know this sounds all very trite and easy to say, and not for 1 second am I suggesting that you just kick back and relax and, for instance, wait for all the money to roll in. No, that is not what I am suggesting at all. In fact, I'm not really a fan of that, in spite of what a lot of people say about this topic. What I believe is that we are in partnership with God and the universe. We can't just simply kick back and relax. We are expected that we're going to do our part. We're in relationship with it. But the problem or the challenge is when we're no longer being led by the divine leading and we're being led by our own egoic desires. When we want something so bad, we're seeking to take control of everything and everybody. And when we do this, we know we're doing this because we're inducing stress in others and in ourselves. So I believe that this requires really doing some inner game work. What I'm talking about here is the inner game work in working on the relationship that we hold with that which is greater than us as we begin to let go of things that are not for us, but actually holding us back. One of the things we need to let go of is attachment. When we get into the energy of attachment, it is almost going to equate to the experience of some level of suffering or feeling trapped or pain. But when we release the attachment and instead practice allowing, when we do this, things in our life seem to become so much easier and more magical. We experience synchronicities. I actually personally call them God moments. If you take nothing else from this video today, understand that there is a divine energy that runs through every single one of us. And when we allow this divine energy to flow through us, you'll then feel it in the core of your being. You'll feel really passionate about what you're doing. Not from a place of trying to control things, but from the energy of allowing and natural creation. And so when you're in that divine energy, you're going to notice things are easier and less stressful. It's easier to actually manifest things. I have a friend who recently wrote a book, and she had mentioned that she had taken a weekend to go to write the book. And it was her intention to do that. But while she was away to do that, she did this in such a way that she was trying to control herself to write the book. And in the process of control, all of the creative juices evaporated away. It was like she was trying to force the creation out of her. And it was because she was in that spirit of control, the attachment of having to produce something. As opposed to just letting go of the attachment, going on this vacation, and allowing the divine just to work through her so that what she wanted to write from within, from the passion of her heart, would just flow out. She went away for 5 days, and the first 3 days was a process of just trying to get to that point where she could relax enough so that the writing could release. She was completely dry the first 3 days. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Have you ever had this experience? Say yes in the comments below. I know I've had this experience myself when I am not in the divine flow of things, when I'm trying to control things, whether it's myself or circumstances or other people. It feels hard. There's we feel a lot of resistance. And so when you're in that divine energy, you're going to notice that things are easier and less stressful. It's easier to actually manifest things and create things. You see, God, the universe, is actually waiting to give you all of these things, to give you the career you want to step into, to give you the clients or the customers, to give you the place you desire to live, to give you the person of your dreams. But you have to do the inner work first. You have to get out of your mind and needing to control everything and the outcomes and get into your heart and build the relationship muscle of faith, trust, and most of all, courage. Courage to move forth with your passion. God wants you to do what you love doing, not to be enslaved in a job you dread going to and something that you really don't feel passionate about. God doesn't want you to remain in an unhealthy relationship. So if your heart is leading you to these things, these are the inner promptings to follow. And it's up to you to make the decision to take that first step to get there, and then the next step and the step after. Understand that the how is shown to us one step at a time. Some of us, and I include myself in the us, want to understand the how. We want to know all the steps to get from here to there before we even take that first step. But this journey of being a divinely heart-led person doesn't work like that. The divine leading leads us to our next step. And once we get to that next step, then it takes us on the one after that. And it will sit and wait for us to take that step. Some of us sit in fear of taking the step. And so what do? We distract ourselves from having to make the decision. We procrastinate. Our mind says we can't, while our heart is telling us we can. And the spirit inside of our heart is dying to do it. We deprive ourselves of what we would love to experience because we sit in fear of taking just the next step. Understand that the divine leading never prompts us to take a step that we're not prepared for. Yes, it may feel like a stretch and even uncomfortable. But the steps it leads you through, one step at a time, never lead you off a cliff to die. And so this is where you'll begin experiencing that you're being met halfway. But the key here is becoming aware of what your job actually is. And what is the job of which is greater than you. And from that place of allowing, just being who you are meant to be, without the stress of worry about what's going to happen in the future and the need to control everything. Just stand in your being, taking one step at a time, living in the present moment and trusting everything is going to play out for you. When you're in this experience, it feels very much like you're living in a kind of channeled state. And as you take these single steps of faith, one after another, I promise you that you'll begin to experience more synchronicities and things will feel more miraculous, more magical. You'll be surprised by the situations and experiences you'll begin to have. And it actually comes from letting go. And so on the board here is the scale of consciousness. And when you're in these lower levels of energies, you're going to be more in your ego. And there is a need in our ego to control things. We're going to be much more wanting to control things in these lower levels of energy in red. But as you begin doing what you love and feeling passionate about it, there is less need to control things because you're no longer in these lower levels of energy. You're rising into these higher levels of energy, into these higher states of consciousness. And in these higher states of consciousness, there is less need to control things because you're simply just in your being, doing what you love and trusting things to unfold for you. And you're doing it one step at a time. You're living very presently. What you create comes with ease and it just flows out of you. And inside of that, you experience so much joy and so much bliss. As you begin doing what you love, you become less egoic, and actually you become more spirit. You become less egoic and you become more spirit. I mean, just think about that for a moment. Really, take that in. This is not by accident, and let me prove it to you. Have you ever heard the saying, time flies when you're having fun? Well, when we get to do what we love and feel passionate about it, this is exactly what happens. But when we're in dread and having to push and control, we're down here on the struggle bus. So when we're living in our passion and purpose and creating win-win for other people, this is how you'll move up to the higher levels of consciousness. You manifest by letting go of your need to control and allowing the universe and God to direct you and bring these other things to you as you move forward, one step at a time. That is the partnership that I'm talking about. So listen to what your heart is telling you. It's God and the universe prompting you to take a step, the next step. I invite you to take that step. And don't worry about how the future steps are going to be done or played out, because that's not your job. And so with that, I'm curious, what aha moment or golden nuggets of wisdom are you taking from this video today? Share in the comments below. I want to encourage you to embrace this so that you can begin living it out too. This is really going to impact and change your life when you apply it. I'd also like to take this time to invite you to join my brand new free online community, ProEmpowerment Online. I'm going to be sharing valuable tips and content there each week in my newsfeed of this new community. But even more, you'll have the ability to join in the conversation in a place where we can share freely without being shut down or censored. And I've also loaded some brand new valuable online courses that I've created that you can register for. To join me in the community, it's 100% free. Just click on the Pro Empowerment Online link in the comments and description box below. So I want to take a moment to thank you for joining me today, and until I connect with you again, for my next video, stay well, stay healthy, and stay empowered.